Welcome to Expert IELTS class with Rob. Here I'm going to share with you my years of experience teaching IELTS to hundreds of students of all ages. And I bring you this experience and together with the testimony of various results my students have been successful in acquiring. And this part, I would like to talk about the speaking section of an IELTS test. And for this, let me share with you my screen so we can see here. If we go to my screen, then uh, that's me. Slides here, and we can go through the slides, and hopefully you will understand things more clearly. I've tried to incorporate the elements that are essential for an effective and clear speaking. These techniques are equally good for an IELTS exam point of view as well as daily conversation with foreigners using this language for communication. So here, it's taking quite a bit of time. Okay. So now let's go through the speaking section of the IELTS. And although this will be particularly for speaking, you will go through an overview of what an IELTS is and how we should proceed. Okay, so see here. Sorry, it is taking a little bit of time. It's ready. The things will get pictures will get more clearer. Okay, IELTS. So tentative days to finish this course. If you just go through the instructions given here is 40 days. So it will take at least 40 days, like 1 hour a day preparation time for you to self-prepare IELTS for your real exam or real test. And if you prepare for 2 weeks, and then you can sign up for the test, means 40 days, 1 hour a day, you have to prepare in that manner. Then after that, you can, after you know the overall picture of these different modules in the IELTS, then you can self-prepare for 2 weeks, and then you can sign up for the real test. And for paper-based test, it will take additional 13 days for you to get back the result. But for the computer-based test, CBT, it will take you only 3 days to get the result. Computer-based test is good for someone who has got good typing skills. And so therefore, with 1 hour preparation for the IELTS every day, plus 15 days of self-preparation, plus taking tests and getting results uh, for a computer paper-based test. So that would count to like 2 months and 10 days from now for a better score if you are giving a paper-based test. So if you want to hasten the process, shorten the duration to prepare an get the required IELTS test report form, then you can practice at your own routine where you can work twice, or maybe you can finish this course within like 2 weeks time. And then if you are good at computer based typing, then you don't need to uh, wait for 13 days for the results to come up. It will just come in 3 days. So 15 plus 3 is 18, and if you work very hard for the beginning, maybe you don't need self-preparation time. That means like within 20 days you could get the IELTS results if you really work hard, provided that you have got a good foundation of English. But if you are a weak student of English, or someone who has got mediocre English language skills, then for a smooth flow, I would recommend 40 days of class, 1 hour a day, plus 15 days of intense self-preparation. And depending upon computer-based test or paper-based test, your you would need additional 3 to 15 days. So for paper-based test, it will be means 2 months and 10 days from now. And for computer-based test, it means like 2 months. But this, of course, as I said earlier, you can uh, design it, curate it according to your needs and how much time you have. If you want to go easy way, so easy manner, easy pace, then you can follow this format, which will take you 2 months and 10 days based on paper-based test to get the result. Then you can apply anywhere. So, with that saying, now uh, let's move on to another part. So, IELTS means this course would be like 40 days test. So, if someone is wants to book an IELTS preparation course with me, 1 hour a day, then it will take them for 40 days to finish this course. And this IELTS, this includes listening modules, reading modules, writing modules, and speaking modules. In the day of the test, the speaking section of an IELTS exam happens on the different day than the remaining three sections that are listening, reading, and writing. So listening, reading, and writing happens in a different day, and the speaking section or speaking test happens in a different day. So there will be like 2 days for your IELTS exam. So for IELTS, there we have got two formats. One is PVT or pen and paper, and the result we get, as we said earlier, in 13 days. For CBT, a computer-based test, the result can be acquired in 3 days. Now, uh, this is for what we'll do if you had to go with me through my online course, but you can skip it for now. So here in exam, we have this format. IELTS listening will take you 30 minutes to finish 4 sections of listening. Section 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this format is based on paper-based test, which is the most common test that we have, particularly in Southeast Asia. And so you will be given in listening section a 30-minute time duration to finish different sections, 1 to 4. And you have to write your answers on a book or the question paper itself. Then, at the end of this module, you will be given extra 10-minute time to transfer your answer from the question sheet to the answer sheet. So in total, your listening section will take you 40 minutes of time for paper-based test, whereas those who are doing the same test in computer-based test, you will not be given extra 10-minute transfer time because you don't need to transfer. Everything will be written on computer. So now moving to speaking section, it will be a total duration of around 14 minutes. So there will be three sections, section 1, section 2, and section 3. And in the reading section, we will still have three sections, section 1, 2, and 3. And the total duration of this section will be around 1 hour. And finally, the writing section. This section will comprise of two parts, writing task 1 and writing task 2. And this will take you around 1 hour to complete. So today we are going to start with the speaking section. So in the speaking section, the most important thing you need to take care of are fluency and coherence. And lexical resource for vocabulary and grammatical range and accuracy. And finally, pronunciation. Other things which you need to take care of are body posture, volume, pitch, pace, and intonation. Now let's talk about the historic perspective. So in those early days, people used to people used to use communication, but there were no discovery of language or writing yet. So it was hard for people to communicate. So how did this communication take place back then? It's quite interesting. So in those early days, there were not very great ways for people to communicate. So it was hard for people to communicate. And therefore, people used to have different tools and techniques for communication. For instance, let's say if people have to communicate, then they would use different type of thing. Like, for example, they would they would those early on people used to people used to go for hunting, right? So they used to hunt the wild animals and they need to communicate with the other members of the tribe about what they hunted and how much. So they would simply draw on a cave wall, like there used to be a cave wall. On the cave wall, they used to draw like the hunting techniques, like they would draw sunlight if the hunting took place in the daytime. They would draw different things, drawing about different things. or like they will draw this the sun if it happened in daytime. And depending upon how many numbers they hunted, they will count like using bars and to communicate. If they hunted a bird, they would draw a picture of a bird. If they hunted a rabbit, they would draw rabbits. Uh, they would draw different types of pictures to show like they have hunted different types of things or animals. Because similarly, hunting a deer, they would draw different types of pictures, and so they would draw cat or mouse, whatever they hunted. That is how they used to count, and they used to draw all these pictures on the walls. These cavemans, they try to communicate on how this. That is how they communicated, because there was no proper means of communication. So my questions to you all is: so why do people need to communicate, or what is communication? So this slide here clearly depicts the idea of why do we need communication. Before we could understand what exactly the fluency means, we need to understand why we need communication. So in this picture you see here, one of this one of these people or person is uh, having different means of uh, means of ideas. His ideas are completely different than this guy here around here. So if they don't talk with each other, if they don't exchange some written materials, or if they don't communicate, use a sign language, how will the ideas in this mind will come into the other person's mind? Let's say, how will the idea in A pass to the idea in B? So, in order for this to happen, we need what? Communication. Therefore, communication is a medium by which things in someone's head is passed or being exchanged with things in some other person's head. So in this way, people exchange their ideas or exchange their information with each other by means of communication. So that means in order for us to be an effective communicator, the communication should be a two-way process. That means your audience, someone who is talking to you, your partner, should be able to understand you clearly, as well as you should be able to understand your partner in order for both of you to become an effective and fluent communicator. Okay, otherwise it doesn't make sense. So that is the sole purpose of communication. Okay. Therefore, this slide explains to you the uh, purpose of communication. We move on to next slide now. So let us see what it means by fluency. The most important quality of an effective communication. Fluency. Most people mistaken fluency to speaking fast. Okay. Let's take an example like here. Okay. For example, let's say there is a person, this person here, he is in this position. Okay, he's at position A. Now, he wants to go to position B. Now, how can a person from A go to position B? So he has got two options. He has a bike here. Okay, let's say he has a bike here, which he can use, mm, which he can use for transport. So let's say he has an option one where the road or this path path is quite smoother, and it will take him only 10 minutes 10 minutes time uh, 10 minutes time to reach his destination. He's just taking how long? Just 10 minutes. Time, just 10 minutes. So, and and he has got some another path, that is path B. So in this path, this guy, he will be taking uh, oh, in this the second part, he will be taking. Uh, so in the second part, he will be taking like this will be like second part, and it will take him like 15 minutes, let's say, 15 minutes to reach his destination. So the one is 10 minutes and the another is 15 minutes. So now you see, uh, so see here, he's taking 10 minutes. This case is even taking 15 minutes to reach his destination. Because you see, in part two, the roads are quite bumpy. The roads are quite bumpy, and so he gets easily disturbed due to the broken street he has to pass. Okay, so let's explain it. So here you see the because of this bumpy road, because of the bumpy streets, the roads are broken. So it will take him like 15 minutes to reach his destination here, starting from here, right? So whereas here it will take him only 10 minutes. So you see, because of this bumpiness of the broken street, he is not reaching his destination in time. That means it's taking more than what it is needed. So therefore, so can anyone guess like what it will be like if you compare someone who is fluent in speaking as to someone who is not so great in speaking? Someone who is fluent in speaking would definitely sound like taking a bath one, okay? Because he is reaching the destination faster also, and he's not been broken. His journey has not been interrupted by the broken streets. Someone who is broken in English would sound like that second part. Okay, this second part. He would be more or less interrupted. You would have some words, but then after all of a sudden, he would run out of some words. And again, he would somehow manage to come up with few words, and then again would be broken up. And then in this way, it goes on and on. So that is the difference between a fluent speaker and a non-fluent speaker. Okay, these are like one is interrupted, whereas the others is not. Okay, so now, so from here till now, what we have learned, and known so far means a fluent speaker is not interrupted. So that means another question arises. Is it okay to speak very fast, or how slow should we speak then? Because here in you see in the part 2, the speaker was speaking very slowly because from here to here he was running in a fast manner, but there was a huge pause here, and again he started continuing his journey, but again he has another pause. So he's speaking not so effectively or faster than he's supposed to speak. So his fluency has been hindered by these breaks and broken paths and broken streets by pauses. So the question arises, how fast should we speak or how slow should we speak? So as a thumb rule, we should not speak very fast, okay? And we should not speak very slow either. Because if we speak slow, then what happens? We will sound like more or less like taking path B, taking the second path, okay? Second path. And if we speak very fast, although we will be taking the first path, if you remember from our previous slide, the purpose of communication is to exchange ideas from the person A's head, okay, to B's head. That means there should be exchange between the things in A's head should be able to get transferred to things in B's head, and things in B's head should be able to transfer to things in A's head. So if we speak too fast, then the problem is that we will breach this principle. That means we will break this flow of information because neither of them, neither A nor B, can understand each other if we speak very fast. If we speak very fast, he will be like bombarding the other person with a lot of words, but he will be confused because he will not understand a single of word what he has said. Okay, and same with him. This if he bombards it very fast to B, the the other person will also have the same problem. Things in his head will not be transferred to things in the other's his partner's head because he is throwing too fast for the partner to grasp it properly. So therefore, when we communicate, we should keep in mind that we should not speak too fast because otherwise that would create a problem for for the persons for the speaking persons to grasp properly. Therefore, we should not speak very fast, okay? And we should also not speak what? Very slow. Okay. If we speak very slow, that means we will be taking which path? Path 2. And path 2 is quite a boring path because it has a lot of pauses. You see here a lot of pauses, and that will give your listener a very hard time, a very boring time, because he would have he will ultimately lose his patience to get a simple single piece of information from out of your head, okay, because you are taking it too long, okay. So therefore we should not speak very slowly, and if we speak too fast also, that's not so great. Just we saw it why the reason just in our previous slide, previous examination, previous explanation. If we speak too fast, also the audience cannot grasp what you want to say. So the thumb rule is that, okay, so the thumb rule is we should speak in such a way that it will be neither very fast and nor very slow, and it will be very. We should use a formula of 2 seconds. Okay, that means we should speak in such a manner we should speak in such a manner that uh, that our pauses will not take longer than what 2 seconds. Okay, so the main idea is now you should know that when you speak, you should take a pause in punctuations like comma, full stop, question mark, exclamations, etc., etc. And these pauses should not be more than what 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Okay. So this is called 2 seconds rule. Okay. So your pauses should not be more than 2 seconds. So your pauses should be 2 seconds and then you can continue. So this is the thumb rule that says that don't take pause more than 2 seconds uh, in between another sentence or another words or phrases. That means you should take pauses whenever you have punctuations like comma, full stop, exclamation, question mark, and that pauses colon. That pauses should be not more than 2 seconds. And then you will sound normal and the audience and both of the peers can understand what you are saying. Okay. So now let's next after knowing fluency, now let's move on to another sections, another important part in speaking. Okay, so what is that? So that is mean the coherence. So coherence means like when your ideas are uh, being presented such that such that it will give you a big picture like uh, like a big picture of a statue of Buddha, Lord Buddha. So long time back, around like maybe around 17, 18 years ago, in Afghanistan, there used to be a huge statue of Lord Buddha. And if you wonder how these large statues that are many stories high being built, then you will finally come to know that these statues are being built in pieces or blocks. That means the head will be made out of separately from different block of stone, and then it will be joined together with the body part, your chest or belly part, which in turn is being made from different part of the stone. Okay. And finally, that will also join together with another leg part made out of a different stone. So when they are put together, they will give you a complete picture. So now let's assume that we are going to make a huge statue of Buddha using the same principle. Okay. Now, how do we make it? So at first, block A is made. That is the made from what? The leg part. And to that part is added the body part. Okay. And to that, on top of that is added another part. That is, there comes the head. So in this way, block A and B and C are connected. That means B joins A and C joins B. And if this happens in this sequence, then we get this version one of the Buddha statue. Okay. So this is coherence because it is making sense. The statue looks like a smiling Buddha. Okay. So for instance, let's say one of the truck driver who is meant to load and unload these pieces of blocks of this Buddha statue was drunk last night, and since it was not his proper responsibility to ensure everything falls into place, He performed his job just about loading and unloading. So he was more concerned about loading and unloading the blocks. So finally, this guy, he unloaded the first block, that is A. He unloaded in this part, and then he unloaded the second part on top of it, and finally he unloaded the third part. So let's see. So in this version, if he unloaded the blocks in this order, now can you see what would happen? So if we unloaded first the A block, then the B block, and then the C block. Now you see this version, the version second, does not give a complete picture of the Buddha. Okay. When you see version 2, it does not make sense of what the picture is exactly about. It sounds like a combination of different elements or different statues. And so that is not being coherent. So what actually coherent is then? Coherent means coherent means exactly to be able to put things in order so that so that you can you can so that you can make sense of what is happening in the like in this you can make a sense out of what is being presented like here. That is being coherent. Okay, that is putting the information here. The information is block A, block C, block C, D, okay, and A. These are the like different pieces of information. Okay, these are like different pieces of information that is being what presented. Okay, that is being presented. So that is the that it is that what we call coherence. Coherence means to put ideas that are relevant in a systematic order, like A, B, and C, as seen in version one. Okay, that is seen in version one. Okay. So, so that is being coherent. So whenever you try to speak, try to get your idea well connected. Okay, the ideas that you present should be relevant and should be connected in a sequential manner. It should not be random or haphazard connection. So when you connect the ideas in sequential order, then that would lead to your communication being coherent. Okay? So that is the real meaning of being coherent. So if you throw up your idea randomly, then that is not being coherent. Because when a listener listens to all these ideas, like in version 2 of this picture of the Buddha statue, it cannot figure it out what you're trying to say. It doesn't make sense. In order for him to make sense, it should be organized in a way like in version 1 of the Buddha statue, which was saw earlier. So try to throw your ideas that is relevant and in a systematic order. Now, another part we should take care of in writing is the lexical resource. Lexical resource or vocabulary is very important. And for students who take classes with me, either online or physical, and I ask them to memorize 10 vocabulary words every day because IELTS is all about using a correct form of vocabulary. Okay. So using a vocabulary means using the right lexical resource or these vocabulary words you have in the right manner and right place. It should be apropos. Okay. That means use vocabulary in right situations and right, right situations and right place, right situations or right situations. For example, for example, if someone is hungry, okay, or if you are very hungry, then you cannot tell that I have a in my volcano in my stomach, okay, in my stomach, because you don't know how to tell because you are weak in the vocabulary. You don't know what word to use. So the right word here to be used is starving. I'm starving till death. Starving to death would be the right phrase to use. Or you could also say that I have a huge appetite, thought for food. Okay, so that would be the right word, appetite, starving. And therefore, when you use this word appropriately, your score in IELTS reading test will automatically enhance or increase. Most students, they kind of mistaken vocabulary to be uh, very, very technical jargon or very complicated words. Using a correct vocabulary or lexical resource does not mean or need not mean that you have to use very sophisticated or fancy words while speaking or even writing. Okay. It only means that you have to use the correct form of verbs or words, words that is required in that particular situation. Okay. It doesn't mean like using very complicated or fancy word that is too long, like bamboozler. Okay. Like no need to use very sophisticated words. Okay. So try to use very short words. Now, talking about grammatical range and accuracy. So, grammatical range and accuracy means you have to use a correct form of grammar. For example, grammatical range means you have to use active versus passive voice. Okay, use of active versus passive voice. Okay, example, example. Ram kicked a ball. This is like active voice, and you should convert it into, you should make it into passive, like a ball was, a ball was kicked by Ram. Ball was kicked by Ram. So this is being passive voice. This is in passive voice. Okay. So active voice and passive voice. So you should be able to use active voice and passive voice whenever you require. Okay. Whenever it requires. This is like using a passive voice. And similarly, another thing you should take care is of use of proper tenses. Okay, tenses. There are 12 tenses, and you should try to use them properly. Okay. For example, use of present tense, simple present tense. Okay, present tense, simple present tense. Okay, uh, simple present tense, and similarly, simple past tense, simple past tense. Despoti are simple future tense, simple future tense. Despoti are present, present perfect tense, present perfect tense. Okay. Similarly, past perfect tense, present perfect, simple present, simple present, right? Present perfect. Hmm? Okay, present perfect, present continuous, continuous, present perfect, continuous, continuous tense. Similarly, for past tense also, you have like similarly, we can use same like simple past tense, past perfect, perfect, past perfect, continuous, continuous, and past perfect, past perfect, past perfect, past continuous, and simple past, past continuous. So yes, so similarly, you have to use this type of principle. And future also, you follow the same method. Future perfect, future perfect, future, future continuous, continuous, future perfect, continuous. Right? In this way, you have to use 12 tenses. So after tenses, we come over other things. That is about plurals. Okay? Plurals in English, in IELTS, matters a lot. Okay? For example, 10 chairs is different from 10 chair. Okay? 10 chair is wrong. Okay? Because you should use which one? You should use chairs. These chairs should be the correct form. Right? The correct form should be used. Okay, you should take care about this. So chairs is different from 10 chair. So you should be wise in using the correct forms of plural. Similarly, spellings matters. Okay, most students I've encountered is they spell 70 like see V and TY. Okay, they forget the what? Forget the E. They forget E. Like it should be correct form, you know? Correct form. So they forget like these type of things. They should take care of spellings too. Okay. Another thing they should take care of is like uh, another thing they should take care is like subject verb agreement. Okay. For example, subject verb agreement. When it comes to subject verb agreement, that means they should take care of things like let's say here what subject plus the verb agreement, right? So for example, a child is or playing on the ground. If, for example, if the question says a child is or playing on the ground, the correct answer would be, in this case, is, is, is equals to correct. Is will be correct. Okay? Is will be correct. Similarly, if there was uh, another example like child is playing, then correct would be what is playing. And similarly, another person, children is, or let's say these are two examples. Let's say this is example one, example two. Example two, children is or playing. Correct form is or is equals to written business, right? So in this case, the correct form would be or. There should be correct agreement between the subject. Here, the subject is what? Child. Child is singular, so it takes what? Singular verb. Singular verb is what? Is. And if the subject is plural, like children, then it should take plural verb that is what? Are. So we should take care about the right use of subject and verb agreement. Okay. Similarly, uh, having said that, plurals, verb agreement, active voice, passive voice, and tenses. If you want to talk about the present, then you have to use present tense. If you want to talk about past, you should use past tense. If you want to talk about the future, you should be talking about will, shall. For the future, you should use the future verbs. So this is all about grammatical range and accuracy. And on top of that, there are some other interesting points like uh, like uh, like sentences as well. Different forms of sentences, like sentences. Okay? So try to use different sentences while you speak. Okay? Speak monotonously means what I mean to say by monotonous means don't always use the simple sentences all the time. Okay? Try to bring some variations in your sentences structure. Okay? Try to use sometimes simple sentence, sometimes compound sentence, and sometimes complex sentences. Complex sentences and sometimes conditional sentences. Okay? So try to Bring not only simple sentences, try to also bring simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and conditional sentences. So actually, these grammar rules are easily available in your secondary school level grammar books or English books. You can refer to them. And so try to bring this type of variations, okay, is easily found in those books. Now, another thing we should take care in pronunciation is the pronunciation elements in speaking is the pronunciation. You should try to have a very good, great pronunciation. Okay. Actually, the more you sound like a native speaker, the higher is the chance that you will end up with a great score for this module. Okay. Try to mimic or copy the accent of the native speaker. That would give you great score. Okay. So pronunciations, our pronunciation is being often hindered by what is called accent reduction. Okay, because we all have our own nationality and origin, and we have our own dialects, and due to that, our pronunciation in English languages is often hindered now and again by our native words or languages, okay, or alphabets or pronunciations. So it somehow affects the English, effective English pronunciation, and you should take care of it. Okay. For example, most students in Asian country like Asian country, they pronounce people like pupil, and 2020 like 2020, and similarly 11 like 11, and so on. Moreover, they often mistaken uh, propose versus purpose. Okay, so for them, these both of them sound similar, like they pronounce this both as propose. Okay, one is purpose and another is propose. So that is the difference. So you should take care about how you pronounce. Moreover, there are uh, online other YouTube channels that help you to pronounce something called phonetic letters. Okay, the International Phonetic Association or IPA has uh, held some rules about effective pronunciation. If you are more interested in learning how to pronounce more effectively, then you could use those uh, videos that are available easily in YouTube, where you can see how to pronounce those phonetic symbols, and that will enhance your level of speech and level of pronunciation. That will take you to the next level, complete new level, higher level of English language. So try to make use of that. And if not, even in your dictionary, okay, you will see some words like, uh, for instance, if you go to some like Google search, you can also go to some Google search, simply uh, Google search some words in your in your Google, and then you will see in your Google like words like, let's say, phonetics, like you can see some like words like amazing, 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 amazing meaning, right? So when you go to type these words and you go to this thing, then you will see words like you'll see an online dictionary, and you can use this. You see, amazing, zing. These are like phonetic symbols. Okay? Try to study these in the dictionary. Try to learn it from this. There are also hundreds of YouTube videos where you can watch how to pronounce these phonetic symbols. That way you will enhance it. When you press this, you can also learn how it is pronounced.
Amazing.
Okay,
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah. So that will be a great tool for you to use on how to pronounce these words. Okay, actually, these type of online dictionaries, these are like your 24/7 hour gurus, which you can use either cooking, sleeping, or walking, or when you are traveling by bus or train, metro, and then you can make use of these apps, and then that will enhance your level of understanding, level of learning. That will take into the next level. Then after we come over extras. By extras, what we mean here is we should take care of our body posture. Okay, body posture, uh, body posture, volume, pitch, pace, intonation. Okay, for example, let's start with body posture. So while many of these interviews these days are happening through video conferencing, but this body posture in the past, the real IELTS speaking test interviews used to take place in person. Okay, and so at that time, the uh, body posture meant a lot and was very much important. And by body posture, it means that you have to sit straight ahead, and then you have to move your hand or have some hand gesture whenever it is required. Okay, and not moving any hand gesture excessively and unnecessarily. Okay, that is what it means by body posture. And another important thing when it comes to body posture is that you should also take care of your eye contact. Means you should always maintain at least 80 to 90% of the time. You should engage your eyes with your examiner or your speaker or partner or whatever you can name. So the person you are talking to, you should always watch in his or her eyes most of the time. Okay, that sounds like engaging type of conversation. And so, and so you should not point your fingers to your audience, as well as you should move your hand. There should be hand gestures uh, uh, appropriately, not excessively. I usually teach all these things in my online course also, if you're interested. And another thing is about the volume. You should always take care about the right volume. You should be audible to your audience, or you should be audible to the examiner. Depending upon your distance between you and your examiner, or if you are having the video conferencing, you should ensure that your microphone volume is raised to the highest level, and there should not be anything muffling your sound, and your sound, your voice should be equally audible, easily audible to your examiner. And one more thing in the body posture, when it comes to video conferencing, it's advised that you watch through your which your through your webcam. It is important for you to gaze through the camera lens in your laptop or your mobile phone while you have these online speaking tests, because that gives the examiner a feeling that you are making an eye contact with him or her during your examination, and that will rapidly enhance your score. And another thing is about the pitch. Pitch is you can make a pitch is like thickness of your voice. You can make it coarse, sound like a man, and you can also make it thinner, more sounding more like a woman. Or you can land somewhere in between. depending upon your preference, okay, whatever voice you want to adopt. Another thing is pace. Pace is similar to fluency, we already mentioned earlier. It's how fast or how slow you speak. And as a thumb rule, as I told you earlier, that we should not speak more than 2 seconds. Uh, we should not speak more less than 2 second pause in between sentences or words separated by punctuations. And we should not speak very slowly. That is greater than a pause of 2 seconds. So the thumb rule is not less than 2 seconds, not more than 2 seconds when it comes to punctuations. Okay. So, and lastly, we should also take care of intonation. So intonation means like adding extra emotion, about adding extra feelings uh, to the word, sentence, what we say. Okay, it's like giving an extra touch, extra magic touch to the sentence or statements that we are saying. Okay, for example, uh, asking a question would be in a different tone than confirming a statement. Okay, for example, ask, if I in asking tone, if I ask like to someone, if there are, if I ask to the second person, confirming the name of the third person, then I would sound different. For instance, I would ask, "She is Mary, isn't it?" So that would be different. That is, I'm asking him if she is married. Right? But if I am saying, I'm introducing the second person and the third person, then it would sound like she is married. Okay. So now I'm confident that the third person name is Mary. She's a girl, she's a lady, and her name is Mary, and I'm introducing her to, say, Adam. So Adam is my friend, and I have to introduce him to Mary. Then I will say she is married because I know that she is married. So I'm sounding like I'm confident. I know her in advance. I know her from the earlier time that she is married. The third person is married. So I am introducing that Mary to my friend named Adam by saying that she is married. But if I don't know Mary and all of a sudden I happen to meet Adam and Mary in a party or somewhere, and then because Adam is my friend, then I want to confirm if the girl is married. Then I would sound like, she is married? Is she married? Right. So although I'm using the same word, she is married. This is my confirming tone. That is called intonation. Okay. She is married. It's different from my earlier question or earlier statement like she is married. Okay. She is married. So means there is a change in speech. So similarly, there would be different situations where you need different intonation. For example, when you congratulate someone, it should sound like congratulations. There should always already sound like some energy, some vibes in what you are telling or talking. Okay. So if someone came from party and if the party was exciting, he or she should be say like party was exciting. Like, it was so exciting. And when he or she says like so exciting, then we already can get a feeling or a vibe that he had a blast in the party. He or she had a blast in the party. So that is about intonation. Okay. So another thing, now we go to each module. We have got 4 sections in uh, uh, speaking, 3 sections in speaking, sorry. Part one section. So part one section will be like 4 to 5 minutes of general introduction, in which the examiner and the examinee will introduce each other, and examiner will ask normal questions like name, where you are from. Also, six, the examinee's identification document like passport. Okay, and everything that they are speaking would be recorded into recording device. Okay, and now there will be like interview questions, and questions would be about like familiar topics like hometown, work, study, food, free time, music, movies, holidays, festivals. For instance, the examiner may ask like, please tell me about your hometown. Please tell me about your work. Please tell me about your studies. What type of food do you like to eat? What do you do in your free time? Which types of movies you want to watch? Or what sort of movies you like, music you like to hear, or where do you go often on your holidays or festivals? Now, here are some of the chichis or tips about expressing likes versus dislikes. Like what to say when you like something. The useful expressions would be, um, I'm a huge big fan of da da da. Okay. I'm really into da da da. I'm really quite keen on da da da. I'm really quite fond of da da da. And if you dislike something, then that would be um, said in the following way, like, I'm not really a fan of, I'm not really into, I'm not very keen on, not very fond of. So just put the not in front of uh, the above expressions. No? Not a fan of, not into. You have to make use of not if you don't like something. So extending your answers. Now, how to extend your answers? Now, you have to say preferences. And useful expressions to say preferences is like, I prefer tea to coffee. I prefer village, living in a village to city. I prefer drinking wine to beer. Or you could also say like, I would rather eat at a restaurant than cook at home. So these type of constructions you should also know how to use. And now, finally, move on to part two. And in part two, you will be given a card or a piece of paper on which is written the question. And this piece of paper is also called a task card, cue card, or a prompt card. And the student or the test taker or the examinee will be given 1 minute to prepare a note in a piece of another paper if he or she requires it. Okay, she or he can take some notes if it is necessary. Otherwise, you can work simply in your brain, in your head, do some brainstorming. Okay, and this lasts for 2 minutes. An example of task card is shown in the slide, and it's like, describe the best birthday gift you have ever received. You have to say where it was, who gave you, when, how, why. So these types of questions would be asked in talks too. Okay. So 1 minute for you to prepare and 2 minutes on what you have prepared. You have to speak out. Okay. And remember, your talk should always have beginning, middle, and end. Beginning means you should have some introductions, introductions, and middle means you have to explain uh, your uh, your viewpoint with some reasons, examples, data, facts, etc. And end means you have to draw the conclusion of your conversation. Okay, we'll watch this in more detail. So, starting your talk. So, when you start your talk, try to use the following uh, format. I'd like to talk about. I would like to tell you about. I'm going to talk about. Example: a problem that I have encountered is. Dot, dot, dot. And notice here that I've used a lot of contracted forms like out, I'm, right? And it's very useful because normally when people speak, they don't want to expand these words, okay? They want to contract it. They want to speak as short as possible, especially with the Americans. You know, American people like shortcut. For example, thank you, they will just write you, TU, thank you. Take care, they will just write TC. I'm on the way, they will write IMY. Yeah, IMW, you know, I'm on the way. Okay. So, so that form of shortcut, thanks God is Friday, is the most popular term used in the US. Okay. So that stands for what? That they will write in the short form acronym as TGIF. Thanks God it's Friday. People in the US, they like to enjoy this Friday, not only in the US, in the Europe too, because after a hard day, hard work throughout the weekday, they try to take a break for themselves when they spend a lovely time with the family and friends. That is why everybody is anticipating Friday. Isn't that funny? Okay. Now, coming back to our topic. So, in this way, you can start your talk. So, after you start your talk, you will say, you will give some explanations, reasons, and then finally you come to end your talk. And some of the ways how you can end your talk are like, anyway, dot, dot, dot. Other examples, dot, dot, dot. So, dot, dot, dot. So in the end, dot, dot, dot. All in all, dot, dot, dot. Finally, dot, dot, dot. To finish off, dot, dot, dot. So these are the ways how you can end your talk. Now, finally, the last section of the speaking module is the part three. So in part three, we have this discuss. Usually the questions in part three are related to the topics in part two because not everything can be answered in 2 minutes in part two. They are often asked in more detail in part three, and it lasts for 4 to 5 minutes. And of course, the issues discussed in part three or in speaking in general are non-sensitive or non-religious or non-political nature. Okay, so how to answer logical questions? Logical questions may appear in part three, but sometimes in part one as well. Logical means why type of questions. Okay. If the question is mostly ending in why, then that means it's logical, isn't it? That means your memory does not work. Or that means your memory can't help. That means it should be more analytical. Okay. And you have to use some logic. So we have devised a formula where you can answer logical questions. And how to answer logical questions. So here we have devised a formula called PREP, P-R-E-P, PREP. Okay. So P stands for point. State your point. Okay. And R stands for giving reason. Give reason why you believe that point. And E stands for example, facts, or data, experience, etc. to support your reason. Okay. And again, P stands for restating your point. That is the concluding remark. Okay. I'll give you an example. For example, Let's say the question might be like this. People believe that education is more powerful than an atom bomb. Do you agree? Okay. Then, if I were you, I would answer using this formula like as follows. So PREP, I would use this formula, and then here P means my viewpoint. I would say that yes, I believe strongly that education is far way more powerful than an atom bomb. That is my viewpoint. And reason. What is my reason? What should be my reason? For example, my reason would be because atom bomb itself was devised or invented by means of education. If there was no education, no physics, no chemistry, then no science, then there would not be an atom bomb at all. There would be no nuclear fission, whatever reactions that are required to have their blast. And I would go for E example to support my reason. For example, if you see many of the revolutions, many of the inventions, many of the great changes that is happening in the world today is being brought by a simple means of education. Okay, so for example, you see a lot of political beliefs, right, tenets, principles, propositions. Okay, is like Marxism, Leninism are all being brought by the use of education through the books. All right, both all these politicians, they have written books that has been so much convincing and so much inspiring, motivating. Okay, and that is how they are bringing conversion to the people, different political beliefs and religious beliefs. So that is an example. Okay, and therefore all these atomic nuclear bombings that are happening is out of the theoretical physics being put into practice. So all these chemical reactions that are happening in the lab is being put into the field in the form of propelling a rocket to the stars, Mars, Moon, or might be trying a corona vaccine. At first, these are tried in the lab. These are all based on theories. Then they are finally implemented on, administered to animals, and finally to humans. So these all theories or this education is being later on practiced in the real life scenario. And therefore, I would like that is my last P. Therefore, I believe that education is more powerful than an atom bomb. Okay. So in this way, I would use this technique for giving a logical answer. Okay. Now, ultimately, our another cheat sheet of how to extend your answer. Okay. Most important thing in speaking is you should always try to speak in as many sentences as you can. Like you should speak in like 4 to 5 sentences at least. No matter how simple or easier or short the question might sound, right? Even for your name, you should try to explain what your name means in your original language or in your country or historically if it bears any significance in your name. Okay. For example, my name is Alexander and it bears a historical significance. Alexander, Alexander the Great, he conquered the world, but in that historical epoch of time. So this is how you should try to speak. Try to speak in as many sentences as you can. Okay. And now, and don't sound like a dumb, okay, a dumb idiot with no words at all. That would give you zero. in your real speaking test. So try to, whenever you think that you are running out of words, you don't know what to speak, use these 5 different techniques that I'm going to teach you and always try to speak. Okay. For example, uh, let's say you use number one description. Use description. Okay. For example, you can use what? Description. For example, if you don't know about anything, just describe it. What is it like? When is it like? Where is it like? How is it like? Why is it like? For example, describe your hometown. If you don't know about your hometown, use the WH questions. Like, what is the name of your hometown? Where is it situated? How is it like? And why do you like it? Say these answers. Okay, you should not take much time, but within short period of time, like 3 4 seconds, you should start uttering these answers. Okay, answer to these questions. So another way how to extend your answer is comment on the question. If you feel some difficulty, if you want some time to respond, just comment on the question. Okay, but don't be dumbfounded. Don't go without words. Okay, like that's an interesting question. You could start with like something like statement like that's an interesting question. That's a difficult question. Let me see. Okay, so these are the ways or tricks how you can take time to respond. Okay. Another way is giving examples. Give examples such as in the history we have seen that Einstein's theories has been put into practice in recent years. Okay, that is, education is leading all these inventions. For instance, in our country, people usually eat food with hands. To give you an idea, da, da, da. So give an example. Give an example of something you know, surrounding country or your own country or your neighbor, etc. Another way is giving reasons. Try to give reasons of something why it is happening. I think it is because that's why you see, if you do like this, then people will do like this. And therefore, I think this will happen like this. This will bring like this. Give some reasons. And finally, another fifth technique is use your knowledge and experience. In my own experience, I feel that education has changed my life a lot in a lot of better ways. Okay. From my point of view, I think we should switch to using green fuels and save our planet from the dark clouds of global climate and climate change and global warming. So these are some of the techniques that you could use to keep going with answering. And when you are out of words, you could use these techniques to say something. Okay? Always answers in 4 to 5 sentences at least. So here is a formula for using talking about the future. If you want to talk about the future, you can use this format. Like you can say it may, could, might, well be that Russia and Ukraine war will finally subside. It could, might be that war between Iran and Israel might end in peace. It's quite possible that he is going to some other part. Okay? And I expect that he or she will believe in the future. I expect that the war will end soon. I'm sure that they will come to the party. Okay. Perhaps, maybe I guess. Okay, try to use these constructions. Okay. Perhaps, perhaps the world will move towards using hydrogen fuel. Okay. So you can use these types of constructions. Okay. And here are some comparative structures and contrasting structures that might be helpful. For example, comparative structures means when you are comparing things. Like, I think Adam is more taller than Jacqueline. I think China is not as uh, as religious as India. Okay, both Nepal and India are good friends. Okay, so that way you can use in construction. Okay, and in contrasting, for example, if you want to contrast, you can use like uh, Henry is Henry is tall while Jack is short. Okay? Similarly, you could use subject verb and in contrast. Matthew and Wilbur are friends. Both are short. Okay, so in this way you can use these types of formats or structures to compare or contrast things. And another thing that you should use in speaking is the use of stressing keywords, significance of intonation. That means you should try to use the intonation wherever possible. For example, how was the party? Is the question. So you should stress party, right? So you should say it with thick accent, okay? So it was so exciting. So you should underline and you should emphasize party and exciting. So in a conversation, you should try to stress keywords, okay? And these keywords might be noun, adjectives, or verbs. And whenever you have keywords, you should try to speak it aloud, okay? To in order to give some emphasis. So whenever you see noun, adjectives, and verbs, try to speak out loud, okay? To in order for emphasis. And usually, you are not required to emphasize prepositions or articles like a and the, etc. So, so you have to use these speakers' attitude and emotions and give these expressions, okay, to uh, this intonation. Means intonation means you have to speak the words with some feelings, okay, to sound it natural. The simple rule is like, how would you say in your own native language? Okay, you would of course use some expressions and feelings, and similar is in English. Whenever you have to use these expressions in English, do with the same feeling and expressions, okay, that you would do for your native language. Okay, with that saying, now I would like to conclude this part of speaking. And if you are interested uh, in taking online courses, I do offer online courses also. Please do leave a message or contact me, and we will continue with some other sections in next video. I hope this video would be helpful to you, and uh, thank you for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe. Thank you.